and Vice Chair ex officio accept the terms of reference recommended by the Review and Staffing Committee and agree with committee membership. On this item, you should have all seen the report with the recommendations of the Review and Staffing Committee. Does anybody have any comments to make?
Can somebody explain to me what the report is, but what's the justification for having 12 extra meetings a year?
The report is about creating a finance general purposes committee, and all of the information is in there.
Yeah. Why is it needed?
It's been recommended by the Review and Staffing Committee as a proposal.
Well, I'm afraid
So
that's
you
not a
can-
particularly good reason, because that committee doesn't have an excellent record, does it?
That's not relevant to this particular vote. You're being asked to look at this report and make your comments about this report.
I personally don't think there's any need for it.
Okay, so does
And
anybody?
it's adding 12 extra meetings to the calendar. And it'll end up being the same key people on the same committee.
We're looking at the report as it is.
Yes, I'm just telling
You
you the
can make
problems that we're
comments on
going
the report.
I'm telling you the problems that it's going to create.
Do we have anybody that wants to?
Chairman, a more fundamental problem is the Review and Staffing Committee. The
I'm
terms of
sorry, Mr.
reference.
Buckley, that's not in question here.
It is,
It's not.
Madam Chair.
I'm sorry,
It
it's
is.
not.
It says here in the terms of reference that the normal meeting notification agenda and minute requirements as laid down in the Council's standing orders should be applied to this committee. They're not. We get the minutes eventually. That has been progress, but we don't get the notification and agenda. And on this occasion, it was not
Mr.
considering.
Buckley, we're not here to discuss the Review and Staffing Committee, I'm sorry. This is not, we are not here to discuss the Review and Staffing Committee. Can you please stick to
I'm
the
going to
agenda?
ask you now whether there are any supporting papers put to the Review and Staffing Committee about this.
The Review and Staffing
Finance and
Committee
General
met
Purposes.
and have recommended this to full council. That is what we're here to discuss.
And were there
We are-
any supporting papers?
We are not here to talk about the Review and Staffing Committee membership. This is about this proposal.
I'm asking you about the supporting papers that supported this recommendation.
I'm sorry, that's not down the discussion. Mr. Town.
It's exactly the same as what I'm asking for, the evidence that supports what you're trying to do.
This is the report of the Staffing Committee. You should know how the council works. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but this is.
And so should you.
So will I take it as Joe's supporting
I'm
paper?
not commenting on the Review and Staffing Committee. I'm sorry, we're here
Well,
to
I'm going
about
to
this
interpret
particular-
it that there is no supporting
Councillor
papers.
Kendall.
If I may interject at this point, some of the purpose of setting up the F&GP committee is to take on board the learning curve from recent experiences from various points, and also the update on internal audits. With having to apply for a new, get a new internal auditor, the criteria have changed. So some of the purpose of this is to use all this as a learning curve and to update all the procedures which can be done under F&GP and make life simpler for full council. So we're not sat here for 3 hours in a full meeting discussing things that don't need discussing in a full council meeting.
The learning experiences will not be learned by shutting 5 councils away in a room together to make all these decisions. This is what gives you the learning curve, but you lot are just distancing yourself further and further away from the public. And the public aren't stupid.
Well said, Rick.
Thank you.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Chairman, if
No,
I may.
I'm sorry, Mr. Buckley, we're not here to talk about the Review and Staffing
I'm not
Committee.
talking about the Review and Staffing Committee.
Right, okay, well, comment on that report, that's
So,
what we want to do.
I've made my points about that. Councillors would have received from me, I think going back to the 26th of June. This was a confidential document sent to you and the clerk, and it's about the governance, standing orders and variation and suspension of financial regulations. It's a comprehensive document. You've all received it, and it tells you what I think is wrong with the finances of this council. I also, because I didn't get a response at all from the chairman and clerk, I also sent it to every single councillor, so you've all received it. You know what the problems are if you've read it. I sent another document on the 3rd of July to all councillors, and this is because I wanted to discuss exactly these problems with the financial regulations.
Mr Buckley, I'm sorry, the agenda item is to talk about this committee. If you
Madam
object,
Chair, you're trying to shut me up,
I'm
and I will
asking you
not
to
be
stick-
shut up. This is far too important.
I'm asking you to stick to the agenda, which is to discuss this, setting up of this committee. If you object to the committee, you're entitled to object
Very well,
to the
Madam
committee.
Chair.
What about debate?
Fine.
That's what,
Well,
exactly what
that's
it's
We're
trying to
not
do.
this is all about just whether the principles of that committee and the draft terms of reference, that's all we want to talk about here.
You're stifling
So-
it.
So can we
Here's my
do we
proposal,
have a
Madam Chair.
proposal?
A motion that Newby and Scalby Town Council rejects the proposal by the Review and Staffing Committee that the council should set up a financial and general purposes committee, and resolves to: 1. Instruct the clerk to fully implement the National Association of Local Councils model financial regulations as soon as possible, and 2. End the suspension of financial regulation 3.5 and 19.2 with immediate effect.
So that's your formal proposal?
That is my formal proposal, and here you are, Madam Chair. I've helpfully provided all these that you can distribute, and we know what we're talking about. Thank you.
I second that.
Good to know.
Yeah,
We need that for the minutes, because there's no way I can do that. Oh, I need to pass that round now. Right.
Has everybody got one?
Bring us down there. So what you would have to do is vote on two things. To do facts effectively is one proposal, which is to consider setting up a committee. Whereas this is proposing that you don't set up a committee.
Yeah, no, it's actually the same item, just a vote.
Yeah, what I would suggest is this actually is in
Minutes.
3 bits.
Yeah.
You've got a proposal to reject setting up a staffing committee. And then we've also got 2 additional proposals. So if you're going to be voting like for like, you should either you take a vote on Mr. Wood's proposal to reject setting up the staffing committee, and
No,
then
it's finance committee.
finance committee, and then the opposite, which is what's the item on the agenda.
So we have no choice but to do that one first.
Chairman,
Yes.
can I speak to this, please? It is a formal resolution on the floor. It's been seconded by Councillor Towers, and I'm grateful for that. And I would like councillors to recall the rules of debate, which haven't always been followed in this council. So I would like to speak to this, and I retain my right to respond. So now I speak to this. Yes.
Yes, Councillor Buckley.
This council needs more openness, not less. I think the clerk is interjecting.
You're speaking to number 1 on your
You're
motion.
speaking to the first proposal,
Well,
which is the finance
Yeah.
and general
I will be
purposes.
speaking to all of them. It is up to you. This council needs more openness, not less. The formation of the Finance and General Purposes Committee will not solve the council's problems, and it's likely to create more. There's always a law of unintended consequences, and with all due respect to the Review and Staffing Committee, many of this council's problems were caused by that committee. The financial regulations used by this council are of unknown provenance. We don't know where they came from. They were adopted in 2014 and they do not comply with the approved model financial regulations from the National Association of Local Councils. They don't contain the safeguards of the National Association of Local Council model financial regulations. There's no risk assessment, and the requirement to report all expenditure to the expediting council is not functioning properly. The clerk agrees with this because in a letter to all, a report I should say, to all councillors on, whenever I've got it. The council, this is the clerk speaking to all of you on the 10th of December 2024. The council's current regulations need to be brought up to date and based on those issued by the National Association of Local Councils. And that's all that I'm proposing in number 1 here. The suspension of financial regulations should only be used in an emergency, e.g. COVID. But what we've done is we've allowed this to just carry on and carry on and carry on. And now, in that same letter, the clerk is saying, in consultation with the chairman and vice chairman, they can authorise in excess of £500. No emergency required, it's become routine. And as the clerk goes on to say, hence what is being recommended on this occasion is no different to what has happened in previous years. It's not good enough. It's simply not good enough. We are a local council and we are accountable to the public. We're accountable for the money we spend, and we spent £20,000 last year on legal and professional fees. And guess how much debate there was about that? Under the former chairman, absolutely nothing. That is not good enough. This has got to change. And creating a Finance and General Purposes Committee will not change that. We have to take control. The council have to take control. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So,
Can I ask you, before you chair to Councillor Woodley, John, when you first started, what date was it, please? When you started, when it was first adopted?
It was 2014. The current financial regulations.
Yeah, no, that's fine, thank you. So it's 2014.
And they're of unknown provenance.
Yes, thank you.
so proposed and seconded already, so can we go to a vote on the rejection? Yes, we know that.
Good.
Can we go to a vote on the rejection of the committee?
Are we voting to reject now?
That's what you're asking for?
No, you're the chair.
Yes.
Right. Is
That's
that
what I said. Can we go to a vote on rejection?
on a rejection of?
Mr. Buckley's
Councillor
statement.
Buckley's
Thank you.
motion.
Thank you for making it clear.
Anybody for that?
For the motion.
For the motion to reject?
No, she's confusing people.
Yeah, yes. Read it out.
What?
Right.
Yes is no.
Yeah, read the motion out. Councillor Buckley has proposed 3 things within this motion. Number 1, he has proposed that council rejects the setting up of a Finance and General Purposes Committee. Number 2, he has proposed that this council instructs the clerk to implement the NALC financial regulations. And number 3, he has proposed that 2 specific financial regulations are suspended with immediate effect.
No, I'm actually saying that the 2 financial regulations that have been suspended for, I think, 5 or 7 years, something like that, should be, that suspension should be ended with immediate effect.
That's what I've just said.
That's what she's just said. She's just read
did
out
you?
your.
Your third proposal is that the suspension of 2 specific financial regulations takes place with immediate effect.
To end the suspension.
Yes. Right. from a procedural point of view, I will point out to you that within standing orders, there is a standing order which says if there is a proposal to permanently cease or vary any standing order or financial regulation, it has to be adjourned without debate until the next council meeting. So that would therefore apply to the final paragraph of what you have written here.
That's fine, we'll talk about it in
That
September.
then means that council has two things upon which it can vote. The first thing is your proposal that the council should not set up a finance and general purposes committee. And the second one, that I am instructed to implement NALC financial regulations as soon as possible. So there's two things there that essentially you are being asked to vote on. Before you vote, I should point out to you that this council cannot instruct me to implement the financial regulations. It has to be a decision of council to fully implement the financial regulations. So I would suggest, Councillor Buckley, that you amend number 1 where it says instruct the clerk and alter that from instructing the clerk to proposing that council. Council has to agree to changes to financial regulations and standing orders.
Well, I would suggest, Madam Chair, that you've never actually said what you want to be called. Are you happy with just chairman? Or would you prefer Madam Chairman?
You can call me Madam Chairman, that's fine.
Okay, but no one's going to take offence. So I propose, as Carl suggested earlier on, that we do it one at a time. Let's have a vote on rejecting the proposal as I have put, and no one has opposed that. And let's then, if need be, go on to the second one.
So the first proposal is.
So it's in 3 bits.
Yeah. I'll put it written down.
Right, okay?
So the first one, your first proposal is that you want to reject the Finance Committee, Finance and General Purposes Committee. That's the first item.
Yeah.
So we want a vote on rejecting, basically rejecting the committee, which is,
We rejecting a proposal by the review and subcommittee.
Yes. For the reasons given.
so we need a vote. Is that okay, do we call it vote, Jules?
Okay, so what you are voting on is, right, if I am going to be exact, the Review and Staffing Committee has not proposed that is, that a Finance and General Purposes Committee be set up.
So where's it come from?
There's a recommendation here.
Right, if you have read the report that went out,
I have.
that report from the Review and Staffing Committee was to do with a set of terms of reference. And if you look carefully at the agenda, which was for this meeting, item 3 is actually in 3 bits. The first bit is to consider setting up a Finance and General Purposes Committee. The second bit is to accept the terms of reference recommended by the Staffing Committee. That said to follow. That was emailed to you on the 18th after the Staffing Committee. And the third bit is to agree the committee membership.
Yeah.
So essentially, the agenda item is to consider setting up a Finance and General Purposes Committee. And you either vote for that or you vote against it. Councillor Buckley is submitting a motion rejecting a non-existent proposal by a committee that the council set up a Finance and General Purposes Committee. So quite frankly, you're voting on the same thing,
Yeah, well, that's
worded
not
slightly differently. and you need to make out what it is. I mean, we've been here now half an hour, and we're still arguing over how this is, and when essentially you're going to be voting on the same thing, written two different ways.
Well, I'm not arguing about anything, Madam Chair. I've put a motion together which I think is very clear, and the subject of this letter, this report, is a recommendation that this Financial General Purposes Committee is set up, and
No, it is not. It is a recommendation of the Review and Staffing Committee, which met earlier today and considered terms of reference for a Finance and General Purposes Committee. The committee took into account the decision as to whether or not there was to be a Finance and General Purposes Committee will be made at the extraordinary council meeting held on the 20th of August. That report only relates to the terms of reference. It does not relate to whether or not a committee is to be set up. So I am purely pointing out that your motion, you are saying the council should vote on a proposal by the staffing committee that council sets up a Finance and General Purposes Committee. And I am advising you that the Review and Staffing Committee has never made such a proposal.
where does it come from?
Where does what come from? That is to do with terms of reference, not to do with the committee itself.
My proposal is on the table. It's very
Your
clear.
proposal is
But
whether
I
there is to
reject-
be a committee or not.
Yes.
If we are both arguing the same outcome.
Yeah, we don't
You want a
want it.
committee, we think that it would work, some of us think it would work. It's basically, are we voting for a committee or not? Okay, so that's simple, we're
My
both arguing the same thing.
motion-
So we just take a vote on
Yeah.
whether there is a committee or not. Should we phrase that in such a way, Jules, that's all we've been asked for, that's all to be reckoned. We're arguing the same thing.
Well, strictly speaking, you're not, because that is, you are voting on something that has never taken place with that, because the Review and Staffing Committee has never made that proposal. So you can't vote on something that does not exist and has never taken
The
place.
question is whether or not, it's the same question.
Can we vote on the agenda
Yeah,
item,
this
which is
will be-
basically what Mr Buckley is asking for, just worded different?
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
So if we vote on agenda item, the first part of the agenda item, as to whether we set up the staffing and review, the Finance and General Purposes Committee,
Yeah,
and then
it's the same.
move the debate from there.
Chairman, I'm going to remove my, not take up my right of response, because there hasn't been an argument put for this committee. No one has opposed this
Is
motion.
entitled to their own understanding of this agenda item. We're both arguing the same thing, which is, should there be a finance committee, finance and general purposes committee? That's what we're asking you to consider.
No.
That's what we're asking you to consider.
Could we move to a vote on that?
Do we have a vote on that?
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
can we first of all have a proposal and second, please?
You've got a proposal, you've got a motion that's been proposed and seconded.
And you haven't voted on it yet.
Right. If Councillor Buckley is determined to have this voted on, will you please vote on that? I will read out point number 1. When the vote has been done on that, we can then vote on the
That's
item on the
three.
agenda.
Yep.
Right. So, do you wish me to read this out, or do you want to?
No, carry on.
Right, you are being asked to vote on Councillor Buckley's proposal, which is seconded by Councillor Towers, that Newby and Scalby Town Council rejects the proposal by the Review and Staffing Committee that the council should set up a Finance and General Purposes Committee.
So we're voting.
Is a recorded vote required or not?
Yes, please.
Right, so the proposal by Councillor Buckley, council rejects the proposal by the staffing committee that we set up a Finance and General Purposes Committee.
So who is for the rejection?
Okay. Who is against that proposal?
it's going
Of course it is.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Because of Marston.
Okay, so that means that Councillor Buckley's proposal by the staffing committee that council sets up a finance and general purposes committee falls. Right.
Surprise there, isn't there?
The item on
Corruption
the
continues.
agenda, which you are required to vote on, is to consider setting up a finance and general purposes committee comprising no more than 5 members, including chairman and vice chairman ex officio. So again, recorded vote. Who is against and who is for, please?
Well, can we clarify what you just said against and for, with roughly the same sentence?
This is whether there is to be a finance and general purposes committee. So this is the opposite. So who is a for? And against?
Right. So the first part of number 3, that is carried.
Yeah.
To set up a finance and general purposes committee comprising no more than 5 members, including chairman and vice chairman.
It can't be.
Yes, let's guess who they're going to be. Right.
So corrupt.
So much
for democracy.
So the next part of agenda item 3 is to accept the terms of reference recommended by the Review and Staffing Committee. Those terms of reference were considered by the Staffing Committee on the 18th of August, and the terms of reference were emailed to all councillors on the afternoon of the 18th of August after they'd been considered by the Staffing Committee. Committee's recommendation states, should council resolve to create a finance and general purposes committee, which it has done, committee also recommends that the attached terms of reference for the finance and general purposes committee are adopted with immediate effect. So that is the next decision that you have to take, as to whether or not those terms of references, as recommended, are adopted.
Before you take the vote, can I just make a point that the subcommittee, review and staffing committee, had full delegated powers regarding certain elements of its work. You're now giving full delegated powers to this. And in the experience that the review and staffing committees had over the last 18 months, I strongly suggest that no subcommittee of this council has full delegated powers in anything.
And they're suggesting a quorum of 3.
I would wish to point out that this council does not have any subcommittees, it only has committees.
Committees.
That meet out of the meetings.
There's nothing in these terms of reference that make it clear that these are public, open meetings of the finance and general purposes. There's nothing in there that says it's to do with staffing when it's reasonable to have a closed meeting. But I would much rather, if you're going to have a finance and general purposes meeting, then make sure that it says in there very clearly that it's a public open meeting, that the agendas and supporting papers and everything else will be freely published on the council's website. Because anything less than that is not good enough. I'm speaking, and if I'm speaking to this, and I think it's important for me to say, and your job is to make sure that I have the opportunity to speak. So,
Thank you. Any other comments? Can we move to discuss the adopting the terms of reference? Do we want to propose a? Thank you, Jill. Seconder.
Nudge, nudge, wake up.
Don't do it if you don't agree.
Right, so,
Vote. No, no, vote.
I don't think she does.
To
does
adopt
it
the
need
terms
to
of
be
reference.
recorded, so I need
It's
to
going to
know.
be on it.
Record it, please.
No.
So you are voting on whether or not you accept the terms of reference recommended by the Review and Staffing Committee and forwarded to you by email on the afternoon of the 18th of August.
For.
Okay,
Against.
right, so those terms of reference as recommended are carried. The final part of agenda item 3 is to agree committee membership.
Just generally,
We don't need to do that because we made it.
Is that going to be then?
Let's go through the motions. Let's make things more fun.
does the committee membership have to be agreed today, or could it be agreed at the next
Yeah, it
full
does.
council in September?
It is requested to be agreed today, please, so that we can move forward with various things.
Well, from well, it has to be, then it has to be, but I was going to move an amendment, but I can't.
We've asked to include the agreed committee membership already in item 3. So
I think you still, didn't say immediate effect to the last vote.
to agree committee membership, so we need to do the last item in item 3, agenda item 3. Do you have proposals for committee membership?
I would propose Councillor Halliday.
Oh, okay. I'll second that.
I couldn't hear what was said, could
Just a minute. Right, I have one proposal. Are there any more proposals for members of the staffing committee?
I propose Reg Towns.
But this is for the finance committee.
Sorry, my fault. Right, so, Councillor Buckley is proposing,
Reg Towns.
and who is seconding that
Reg
proposal?
is seconding it.
Okay, are there any more proposals?
I'd like to propose
No.
Councillor Basterman in view of his long-term experience.
Oh, goodness me, good grief. So the quorum for this committee is 3.
I would go very well. I would propose Councillor Jill Henry.
You've already proposed Councillor Holiday.
I beg your pardon.
Twice.
Oh, you're gonna propose everybody? Good
Mike,
Do you
grief.
wish to amend?
And you're a North Yorkshire councillor.
Kendall? So, what I put on there, that stands you and Councillor Smith for Councillor Holiday.
Yeah.
Right? Councillor Buckley is, and seconding Councillor Towns is Councillor Towns. Councillor Smith, you said you were proposing Councillor Basterman, that was as far as I got.
And I don't want it.
Right,
I propose Councillor Buckley.
can we just finish with Councillor Smith? Who are you doing?
I propose
He
Councillor.
doesn't want
He
it.
doesn't want it.
He doesn't want it.
I don't blame him.
Oh, yeah.
How embarrassing.
Because she really.
Cecil's in.
No, it's,
Can I help here, Clerk?
yeah,
The clerk is looking for a seconder
Right, okay.
for Councillor Basterman.
Councillor
Councillor
Bassman
Bassman doesn't want it.
it.
Sometimes it's seconded.
That's okay.
I made that clear.
Yeah.
Councillor Lyon, Councillor Bassman doesn't want it, I don't.
Right, okay, so if councillor Bassman doesn't want it, who do you wish to propose, if anybody?
Councillor
It's
Campbell.
just been proposed.
What has, I'm still dealing with councillor Smith,
I'd like to propose Councillor Campbell.
right,
That's the case.
and who is going to, who is going to second that?
Of
Who said that?
course.
Thompson,
Thompson.
right. Councillor Kendall, you said about something else that's just been proposed.
No, it's Jen.
I think Rachel.
Rachel.
Two of us have proposed,
Sorry, I don't understand, two of us.
Oh, if somebody spoke to me like that, I'd have to walk
She
out.
proposed her and she proposed her.
I think you just didn't hear that I proposed. And then
Who did you propose?
Speak up,
Councillor
Right,
I even feel sorry for you today, Jules, I'm sorry. Crikey, no.
Don't.
somebody has proposed councillor Mrs Kendall, am I correct with that?
Yes, and Rachel seconded it.
And Richard has seconded it.
Richard.
Richard.
So councillor Holiday, what are you
That's right.
talking about, please?
And they're gonna be in charge of the money. God help us.
This is why they don't want
But
to
she's
do it.
already been proposed.
Yeah, no, this was previous to that.
Right, so who am I putting down for proposing and seconding councillor Kendall?
The ones that you
Smith
heard.
and Thompson or Holiday and somebody else?
the ones you heard.
Smith and Thompson.
Couldn't write it.
Right.
You could.
We didn't hear, I
And
didn't hear
Dave
what you said,
Allen.
sorry.
So I've got councillor Holiday's proposed, councillor Tows's proposed, councillor Kendall is proposed. Is anybody else proposed
Councillor
Yes,
Buckley.
councillor.
for the finance?
Proposed.
It's going to pop up somewhere.
Yeah.
Rachel just proposed councillor Buckley.
I've got a second that.
Which is entitled to do it.
It's looking good for us.
Come on. It's not because it's another 12 meetings you've got to attend.
I can't even word it out,
Richard.
Can you speak up, please?
Right,
Where's
so
Councillor Foot?
haven't missed anybody off there.
So these are the proposals.
Right, those are
Do you have to be here to
proposals
be
and
proposed?
seconded.
No, it's meant to be a time that aren't here.
Suggested. Has Richard proposed anybody and I've not heard it?
Yeah, I think you were proposing Janet, did you say?
No.
Yeah.
I'm putting that in his head.
But have you proposed anybody, Richard?
Were you supposed to?
Hey, why he hasn't got his puppet strings on today, so.
Can you hurry up? I've got 11 people.
Who's in charge of finance?
So,
Do.
there's no more nominations.
Will
is what
they?
I'm trying to establish before we start voting.
Sounds big. That here.
Speak up. The reason I asked the question was quite simply that there are members missing who may well wish to go on it. And that's why I asked them how to be.
But I should have been here.
Of course they should, yeah.
As councillors, they should attend.
Exactly.
Good
We've
system
got
to the
here agreed committee membership.
Right.
We can't delay.
And I
it.
think
Can we
Councillor
delay it?
Murphy's a thing that council makes.
I've
I
just
agree, they're gonna
wanted
do
to
that.
check. I've got 4 proposals.
No. We
Are
will.
there any more before we start voting on these proposals? Do I need to read things out again so we're
No.
quite clear before we start voting? I'll just sit here and wait till we've all decided whether or not the question I've just asked needs
I think
answering.
we've just
That's
got
what we
to the
have to
point
do.
where We have to just go for the votes.
Okay,
Yeah, get on.
um,
Stop delaying matters.
Do you want to do a recorded vote on
I
all of
would
those?
say it's safer to do a vote, recorded vote on all of them, don't you?
Recorded vote, please.
Recorded
Yeah.
vote.
Right, okay. First one is council holiday.
Yeah.
So, can you do hands up for, hands up not for, please? For.
Can we vote more than once?
Push again.
You vote on each proposal, so you will
Question.
each vote
On each one.
no more than 4 times. So the first one that is being voted on is councillor holiday to go on the finance committee. How many people are for?
Yeah.
How many people are against? And how many people are not voting?
No reason to call that.
Councillor Holiday, you
Didn't
didn't
vote
vote.
for it.
Didn't vote.
You can
Are
vote
you
for yourself.
you can vote for yourself or not or abstain, which is it going to be?
Vote for myself.
Right. So councillor Holiday is on the finance committee. Councillor Towers. That's the next person to vote on. How many people are for councillor Towers being on the finance committee? So, how many people are against councillor Towers being on the committee? Thompson. No, you're putting your hands down, I don't write that fast.
Scared.
Derek, how are you voting?
I'm abstaining because I don't think it's fair that other people aren't here, so.
I actually agree with him.
Right, councillor Towers is not voted onto the committee.
Why? Surely you need to wait and see who gets the most votes.
Right, this needs chairman's casting vote because it's 1, 2, 3, 4 in favour and 4 against. So it's chairman's casting vote on that one, please.
That's really bad, isn't it, that your chair doesn't have any confidence in your council?
Pretty appalling.
Terrible.
What rubbish chairmanship is that?
Pauline.
Right, the next one to vote
Richard would never have done that.
on
Or ask
is
around vote.
I didn't see the chairman vote again.
No.
the next one to vote on is councillor Kendall. How many are in favour of councillor Kendall being on this review
vote.
committee?
Finance committee.
Right, so we're doing Holiday, Smith,
Bob's put his hand up.
Marley, Thompson, Shepherd. And did you vote? Yeah, Kendall. How many are against councillor Kendall being on the staffing committee? Finance committee, sorry. And how many are not voting? How many are abstaining?
3.
Councillor Towers, how did you vote on this? Because
I abstained, I put my hand up.
you've abstained, right, okay, thank you. Right, so councillor Kendall is on the staffing committee, the finance committee.
Surprise.
That brings us down to councillor Buckley. How many are in favour of councillor Buckley being elected to the committee?
Your hand up, John.
4.
How, have you had your hand up?
No.
Right, how many are against councillor Buckley going on to the committee?
Why? How did you sit there and smirk?
She put her hand up.
Stuck on numbers,
I don't know.
No, she put her hand up.
Because you're going to ask too many questions, so they don't want you.
Harlan.
Derek, I'm assuming you're abstaining again. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8. So there's one person I haven't got. So 4, I've got Towes, Kendall and Shepherd. Am I correct with that?
And Councillor Buckley.
And Councillor Buckley.
And Councillor Buckley.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's coming round.
So, again, on chairman's casting vote, because we have 4 people for Councillor Buckley, and we have 4 people against Councillor Buckley. So on chairman's casting vote, how do you vote?
Against.
So it'll be against, of
Accept.
course, won't it?
Which is accepted.
So Councillor Buckley is on the committee. Holiday, Kendall and Buckley onto the committee.
There's a very small light at the end of a very dark
Yeah.
tunnel.
Right, can we move to agenda item 4, please?
Right, next item is looking at Europa Oil and Gas application to the Environment Agency to receive the recommendations of the planning committee, which was held on the 14th of